Hello everybody, it's Catherine from Jane Catherine and Books, and I'm also Jane Catherine Creative on my other channel, and actually what I'm going to talk about today affects both, but this is my chat's mainly based at the BookTube Community because that's, I have the largest channel. And I'm sorry if this is a bit of a dismal background lighting. The lighting's shocking today, but it's a very dark subject really for many YouTube creators. So a volcano has suddenly erupted this week, and a great big storm of activity, because it's now become very apparent that the new laws that have been how can we say, it's not a new law. COPPA is not a new law. This is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, and it's nothing new. It came out in 1998, and this is in America, and originally, rightly so, it was protecting children's details, protecting their names, their addresses, information about them. So it was all mainly about data protection and special care with children under the age of 13. Now, as time's gone on, and obviously it's erupted into a big storm recently because YouTube have been involved personally with this. Excuse me. This act was amended in 2013 because it was found that that wasn't quite enough, that they were just protecting names and addresses because of online cookies. And these are online identifiers which enable platforms to direct advertisers and, the recommended pop-ups and everything that you get. Well, you liked this video, so we recommend that. That's all part of this. And it was found that there needed to be some amendments to the COPPA Act because of the online cookies that were specifically targeting children, and therefore that left a bit of a loophole really, where children weren't properly protected. So it was amended in 2013, and there was some research done in 2016 by the FTC over in the States, which is the Federal Trade Commission, and they found that 73% of children watched YouTube, and that was 73% that weren't 13 and over, and that's quite frightening actually, quite frightening. And therefore I totally agree that something needed doing about it. These children need protecting. We could argue here that this is about parental control. That, like myself, there's many parents out there, and you do your very best to protect parents that carry out checks on the internet, what the children are watching, etc. Nobody's infallible. They can be very clever, these young kids, very clever with social media, even with the best of parenting. But anyway, it's been taken on board now that the onus for protecting children on social media falls with the creators. And this has all erupted because recently YouTube was found to be in foul of the laws, and when an investigation was done into the creators that use this platform, and they could collect this from YouTubers that were monetized. I mean, I'm not monetized, but there's millions out there that are. That there was still some inappropriate, what they felt was inappropriate advertising, mainly being linked to channels that were really that children could access. And so those of you that know that if you are monetized, then YouTube makes a lot of revenue by getting advertisers to use your cookies, use your personalized web identifiers, and, you know, stick their adverts in. But there was no way of monitoring what adverts are going where. And I think basically that is the problem. You know, if they could monitor that only child appropriate adverts were going to children only channel, etc, etc. But anyway, that's just me. And I do want to say here, I'm not the expert on this, I'm not a lawyer. These are all my own personal opinions. But I think it's right that if we do have this platform, although mine is a small one compared to others, that, you know, we highlight this issue and look at the impact it's going to have. So what's happened recently that's caused this big storm? Well, obviously YouTube have been found in foul of the acts, and excuse me, they were in, how can we say, they were in jeopardy because they were going to be fined $40,000 per showing that that was falling foul of the laws, and that would be a lot of money. So what they've done this week is they've settled out of court, and I'll just check this, it's £170 million settlement for breaching the act. But because this was agreed, there were various terms, as I believe it from listening to some of the lawyers online. There were certain other, how can we say, agreements fitted into this settlement. And one of those was how YouTube as a platform is, basically how it's difficult to explain. One of them is that they are passing the onus of protecting children under this act onto the creators. Now, there might be some of you there sat there and you're in the UK and you think, well, why does this affect us? The, you know, COPPA and FTC are in the States. And we'll think, oh, well, you know, you think we can not be involved in this because we're in the UK or we're in Australia or, you know, anywhere outside of the United States. But hang on a minute. United States, YouTube is a United States company, if we can call it a company. They're a platform for the internet, but they're under the jurisdiction of all the laws and acts that come out in the United States. So therefore, anybody that uses YouTube as a platform has to adhere to their rules. And that is why this does affect the whole world, really. This has impact for creators the whole world over. And yeah, it's quite frightening. So, so we've got this now then. So now as a creator, albeit a small one, but we all know that there's large booktubers out there that do rely on their, you know, their channels are their business and they rely on earning a living. And this first came to light in the crafting community over the past few days. That's where I learnt about it, because I think crafting and creative channels and BookTube are involved because of what YouTube are now deeming as content that's suitable for children. And I will go through that with you in a minute. So it's come up this week. We downloaded a video earlier, and for the first time, when you upload into YouTube, you now get this where you have to identify if your video is child directed, if it's suitable for children, or if it's adult only, adult directed. Now we might think, yeah, that's fine, we make well, I certainly do, and many other creators on BookTube and the craft community make videos for adults. However, within that content there are things that could be deemed as what's the word that they use? Let me see what they use. There is a word. and I've written it down here, that they use to say it's enticing to children. I can't find it at the moment. But if it's attractive, so anything that you put either on your thumbnails or content is deemed attractive to children, enticing to children, then you could be fall foul of the law. So I thought about this originally, and I thought, where does that affect us as booktubers? And mainly it's the middle grade. If we look at the middle grade books that we read, that we, speak about on our channels. I often did that. I had a middle grade Monday series, which I've now had to delete. And I thought, well, that's fine, because what you do is we'd have to just make a video all about middle grade, and we'll upload it and say child directed. And as far as I was concerned, till I looked into it a bit more, that's all that was needed. However, there are connotations for that, and especially for those of you that are monetized, because once you label it as child directed, everything's turned off. You can't have comments, you can't have likes, and for big booktubers who earn the living, the number of likes, the number of comments is what brings a large percentage of their revenue in. And for me personally, as a small booktuber, I'm not monetized, but the comments is a big part of this. Commenting, having a chat about the books, everybody joining in. I found some amazing friends through having that facility. And if that was to go, I'd be really sad. So this is what YouTube, and I'll link it down below, they've put a video out as to what this is about and what their guidelines say. And they've given a list of 10 things of what you should consider before you tick adult or children. And when you see this, you'll realise that this is something that we need to consider very carefully with regards our own channels. And it leaves a whole grey area. I personally don't think I think it's, the whole thing is not specific enough to target those that are in the wrong. And it's just going to punish the majority who are law-abiding and are making fantastic content. And unfortunately, many people are going to lose their livelihoods. So here we go. This is what they want us to consider. So the guidelines state, sorry, I've got to read it from here, I don't want to get it wrong. Children are the primary audience based on the factors described below. Children are not the primary audience, but the video is still directed to children based on the factors below. So that really is our category, well, my category and many other booktubers, is children aren't our primary audience, but it can't contain any of the following. So listen carefully, listen up. Subject matter of the video. Does it have educational content for preschoolers? It can't have that. Whether children are your intended or actual audience for the video? Well, no. Whether the video includes child actors or models? Well, there are many suitable, really fantastic channels out there, both in BookTube and in the craft community, that it's a fun, the children are involved, the children help with some of the crafts. The videos aren't for children, but, their children are involved in it, so where does that leave that? And as for models, well, we have Nelson. And the thing is that, cute dogs could entice children, and so they're, therefore, I think poor Nelson's not going to show any more appearances. Whether the video includes characters, celebrities, or toys that appeal to children, including animated characters or cartoon figures. Well, those that are really, really clever and put all sorts of all singing, all dancing attachments to their wonderful videos, and that's what we like about them. You've got to be very careful what that includes. Whether the language of the video is intended for children to understand. So, yeah, This is where you've got to be careful if you're saying, yes, my middle grade content is for children, because actually the chat is aimed at the adults. And for adults that love, there's a big following out there, as you know, that love reading middle grade books. But also the chat is directed at parents as to whether these books are suitable or they sound like there might be something they could introduce their children to. So yeah, there's that hope in a black hole. Whether the video includes activities that appeal to children, such as play acting, simple songs or games, or early education. Whether the video includes songs, stories or poems for children. Yeah, certainly affects BookTube. Any other information that you may have to help determine your video's audience, like empirical evidence of the video's audience. So I suppose that's, in a way, if you know that children love, what could we say? Harry Potter, Hello Kitty, Dora Explorer or whatever, you've got to be very careful about using content like that, even though it's made for the adults. You know, there are creators out there that have got the franchises to use Disney, to use things like Hello Kitty, Harry Potter, etc. We all discuss Harry Potter, but we don't discuss it for the kids as a rule of thumb. I'm not saying everybody doesn't. So we've got to be very careful there. Now, why am I saying that we've got to be very careful? You might ask, but if YouTube, and they've got to carry on monitoring this very carefully, because apparently, you know, under the terms and conditions of this agreement with the FTC, they've got to carry on auditing more carefully, and they've got to highlight channels that they don't think are correctly labelling for children or for adult, and then that channel runs the risk of being fined $42,000 per video, and the channel was shut down. At the least, they could turn off your comments, they could turn off all the add-on bits that we get for using YouTube as a platform. But the worst case scenario, you can be fined $42,000. And this is this is a worrying thing, because looking into it, and even the lawyers, there is nothing specific. It's very grey, and you can see from the 10 points they give us, it's very grey. There's a whole chasm there of, do we fall under that or don't we? Does this video fall under that or doesn't it? And I think the majority of people are going to err on the side of caution. And already there are people that are shutting down their channels. And there are many people that are going to be in a mess. Those that rely, that have a business through their channels. I mean, there are many adult channels that, you know, discuss children's toys. But the children's toys that adults collect and adults play with. I don't know, for example, Lego, should we say. Lego is an example. Big following with children, big following with the adults. Where does that fall in? You know, there are many creators that are creating content for all the mums and dads out there that like playing Lego. You know, so it's opened a can of worms. So I could go on and on forever, and, you know, as I say, I'm no expert. But I wanted to raise awareness of this so that we can all sign the petition. There is a petition going round, which I'll leave down below, that three YouTubers, I believe, in the States have started for everybody to get involved. You can sign the petition and you can put your views to the FTC. Now, you know, we expect that to be done in an adult manner. We don't expect it to be abusive. We expect it to be constructive, succinct and polite, but to the point. So they understand that this has a big impact on us all. Now, I just want to leave you with a final thought. And personally, I feel that we've been sold down the river. that creators using the platform of YouTube have made a lot of money for that platform, a lot of profit, a lot of money. And I feel let down, actually. And even I'm just a small booktuber. I'm not monetised. I'm not big enough to be monetised now since they changed the rules that you have to have 1,000 subscribers. I don't earn my living by it, but I feel very strongly about this because this also has impact for everybody that views, everybody that loves watching YouTube videos, because it will alter how you watch. So this isn't just about us, it's about you guys. So you get on board and sign the petition. Because if we have to mark our videos as children only content, you won't be able to comment and join in. You won't be able to see the pop-ups that advertise other videos that are similar that you'd enjoy. You can't like. You can't. The interactiveness that's involved that makes this such a wonderful thing to be involved in will be turned off. And I think a lot of creators, to be on the safe side, because we don't, people can't afford a $42,000 fine for something they don't think they've done, will label everything children only. And if we do that, unfortunately for you guys, it's going to be very boring, because the interactive facilities that this platform gives us will be taken away. So please, it involves all of us. So I'll leave you with a final thought. And for me, this says it all. This is what makes me feel let down. Now, because, YouTube, they've settled out of court this week, but they've also made other agreements. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I'm getting a bit of a cold. They've made other agreements, and it was made very clear from the FTC in September that it could sue individual creators. It's not going to sue YouTube, because YouTube have brought in everything they've asked for. They're going to sue us, the individual creators. And this is what really annoys me. YouTube's responsibility is simply to maintain the system and provide ongoing data updates. That's all the responsibility they're taking for all this debacle. And yeah, I'll leave that with you. Just let me say as a disclaimer again, these are my own views, these are my own thoughts. I've not, some of this has been from lawyers that are on YouTube. I'm not able to check if that's correct, but having said that, they are lawyers, and this is my own take on it. I'm not the expert. So what I advise you to do is go out there, find the plethora. The world's been taken by storm with COPPA videos now. Go out, investigating this yourself. If you're a creator, a booktuber, consider how this is going to affect your channel and what changes you've made. I've already deleted all my middle grade specific content that's purely the middle grade Mondays. I've deleted a children's story that I read out for a Christmas theme, just to be on the safe side. I will leave down below a link to the the video that there's a video there from a lawyer who specialises in social media law, and the petition for you to look at, sign and comment. So please, there's not much we can do about this, but if for once we have to use the power of YouTube, the platform that we all use and the number of us that use it, let's all rise together, let's sign the petition, let's put constructive criticism to them, and that's the only way that we can affect change. So thank you very much, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.